everybody. This is Mike Brennan here at the National Hurricane Center. It's just after 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, August 15th, coming on with the latest on Hurricane Ernesto, which is gradually strengthening and expected to continue strengthening as it approaches Bermuda over the next day or two, and bringing multiple dangerous impacts to that island where there's a hurricane warning in effect. Also going to bring widespread dangerous surf and rip current conditions to much of the western part of the Atlantic Ocean over the next several days. So we'll start off with what Ernesto is doing this morning. It's currently located about 570 miles south-southwest of Bermuda, moving north at 14 miles per hour. Maximum sustained winds, based on data we have from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, around 85 miles per hour. If we look at the forecast for Ernesto, we're expecting a northward and then a northeastward motion over the next 48 to 72 hours, and that's going to bring the center of Ernesto near or over Bermuda during the day on Saturday, where there's a hurricane warning in effect. That means hurricane conditions are expected on that island within 36 hours. So if you're on Bermuda, you need to be getting ready for hurricane impacts. And if you note, the motion forward speed of Ernesto is going to be rather slow as it moves near or over Bermuda, all the way from Friday evening all the way through the day Saturday, still in the vicinity of the island, even Saturday evening. So there's going to be a long duration of strong winds, dangerous storm surge, the potential for life-threatening flooding from heavy rainfall on that island. If we look out at the longer range forecast, beyond that time, we expect Ernesto to accelerate northeastward, passing near or over portions of Atlantic Canada early next week, and then moving out into the North Atlantic by next Tuesday as it loses its tropical characteristics. So when could we see impacts beginning on Bermuda? The most likely time of arrival of those sustained tropical storm force winds is going to be Friday afternoon or Friday evening, as you can see here, with the expectation that you're going to see those hurricane conditions during the day on Saturday. In terms of rainfall, we're expecting 4 to 8 inches of rainfall, with isolated amounts as high as 12 inches as Ernesto moves slowly by the island. That's going to create the potential for life-threatening flooding on the island of Bermuda. In addition to that, we're going to see dangerous storm surge accompanied by life-threatening waves and large and dangerous waves near the coastline of Bermuda itself, and so that's going to only exacerbate to those issues. So follow any advice you've been given by your local government officials on the island of Bermuda, and please use today and the early morning hours and early after through the morning hours on Friday to prepare before conditions begin to deteriorate Friday afternoon on the island of Bermuda. Now, stepping back out, let's take a look at the surf and rip current risk. So with a growing hurricane moving off the east coast of the United States, the wind field's expected to grow. Ernesto is expected to intensify. It's going to create a large wave field that's going to affect not just the northern Caribbean islands that it's moved past already, but much of the east coast of the United States. This is the rip current risk for today. We have a high risk of rip currents already in portions of northeastern Florida, southeastern Georgia, moderate risk of rip currents all the way down through east central Florida and the rest of the Georgia coast, and then also moderate risk of rip currents on Long Island. But now if we jump ahead to Friday, you can see that that rip current risk increases dramatically, now extending from east central Florida all the way up through portions of North Carolina, including Long Island, and a moderate risk of rip currents along the New Jersey shore, portions of the Delmarva Peninsula, portions of the North Carolina coast. Those dangerous surf and rip currents are going to continue to expand northward and continue through much of the weekend. So it's a summer weekend. There's going to be lots of people potentially going to the beach, but you want to, again, follow any advice you're given by your local officials. Follow advice from lifeguards. Don't go out in the ocean if you don't think it's safe, and follow those warning flags that are flying along the beach. Again, a reminder, too, just take a look at the large wave field that's going to be associated with Ernesto. By the time we get to Saturday morning, you can see those large waves beginning to affect not just the southeast and mid-Atlantic coast, but spreading northward up into the northeast coast. That's going to continue throughout the weekend. So just to wrap up our key talking points here for Ernesto this morning. Ernesto is expected to approach Bermuda late Friday and be near the island on much of Saturday, bringing a prolonged period of dangerous hurricane force winds, life-threatening flash flooding from rainfall, dangerous storm surge beginning late Friday. So preparations on Bermuda should be rushed to completion today and early tomorrow. Rainfall is, again, with Ernesto, is going to contribute to the potential for life-threatening flash flooding through the weekend. And then let's focus again on that rip current risk. Even though the center is going to remain well offshore of the U.S. East Coast, those dangerous rip currents are going to continue to spread northward and affect all the East Coast facing beaches through this weekend. So a reminder, you can come back here at the National Hurricane Center to get updates on Ernesto throughout the day and throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend at hurricanes.gov. For folks along the U.S. East Coast, you can get information about beach hazards and other weather conditions from your local National Weather Service office at weather.gov. So we'll be back with more on Ernesto as we go through the rest of the week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Brennan at the National Hurricane Center.